Am I audible? I guess I'm audible. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Mind Forge, a unique initiative by Rotaract Club of University of Moratuwa in collaboration with Interact Club of Ananda College. We are thrilled to have you all join us today for this exciting journey into the world of hackathons. I'm Rasini Vimti and I'm honored to be your moderator for today's event. It's our pleasure to extend a warm welcome to all the students who are eager to learn and explore the possibilities of today's program. Today's webinar is designed to introduce students to the exciting world of technology, starting from the basics. Whether you are new to this or looking to refine your skills, this program is tailored to provide you with the knowledge and resources you need to succeed. Now, it's my pleasure to hand over the session to our esteemed speaker, Mr. Dilumika Navodya, a lecturer from the Faculty of Information Technology, University of Moratuwa. Mr. Navodya brings a wealth of expertise and experience in the field of information technology, and we are privileged to have him guide us through this. Without further delay, let's welcome Mr. Dilumika Navodya to share his valuable insights with us today. Over to you, Mr. Navodya.
Good evening. Am I audible and visible?
Yes.
Okay. Am I audible enough to clearly hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you clearly.
All right. So good evening, everyone. So yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity to talk for the students. And yeah, without further ado, we can start the session. And so today we are going to talk about Python, mainly introduction to Python and some sort of, some things that are related to Python, and maybe like we can discuss about different things and maybe questions, probably questions. I would like to discuss about mostly questions from you guys. So that would be a better session for both of us. Okay. I think we can start the session now, right?
Yes, sir, we are good to go.
Okay, nice. So I'll share my screen. Yeah, so I hope it's visible.
Yes, sir, we see.
Right. So okay. So again, good evening to everyone. So let's talk about introduction to Python, and mainly Python. Like, what's the Python? Python as a programming language, and all sort of things that you want to clear out, and all sort of things that you want to know. Maybe most of us, like most of you, already know that AI is one of the uh, trending technology in today. So most of us, including me and you, are wondering how, like, what should I do to start AI? What should I do to, like, what should I do to start my career as an AI engineer or machine learning engineer? Like, what is the way that I need to come to AI? So yes, so one major thing, or I would say, like one of the key component of being an AI engineer, or being a machine learning engineer, that you need to have a clear understanding about how Python programming language works, because 99% of the time when we are doing any programming, like 99% of the time when we are working with any sort of AI model or any sort of AI related thing, we have to deal with Python programming language. So it's like a uh, like it's like thing that you can't forget when it comes to AI. So not only AI, actually, students, there are like lot of things, there are like lot of complex things that we can handle using Python programming language. So basically this Python programming language is one of the, like I would say, like frequently used programming language these days, especially these days with the with the advancement of AI and related concepts with AI. Python programming language is one of the I would say, uh, if I have asked to, like rate, maybe like rank any programming language based on the, popularity or any other things, I would rate Python as one, right? I would rank Python as one because I know for a fact Python programming language is very useful. Okay, so let's begin into Python programming language. So I'm Dilumika Navodya, and I think you already know me because I'm a lecturer of Faculty of Information Technology, University of Moratuwa. Yes, so without taking much time to describe about myself, let's go to describe about Python. Okay, so this is the workshop series one. So yes, so this is the table of content for the day. Don't worry, I'm not going to give like lengthy slides for you guys, and or else I am not going to conduct sessions or give sessions on lengthy presentation. So it's only going to be like 5 to 6 slides, but meantime we'll be discussing practical things. Mostly I will be discussing practical things. I prepare my IDE, Python IDE, so we can, like, instead of going here and there and talking about like what is an arithmetic operator, what we can do is we can talk about arithmetic operators, and in the meantime we can actually practically check what arithmetic operators are. So I believe that practical experience, anything that you are gaining by doing it practically, that so that is very important than like doing it theoretically. I'm not saying that you don't need to, like, you can't do, you don't, it's not good to do theoretical things, but always you have to do theoretical things first. But I think a good mix of both theoretical things and practical things makes more efficient, learning more efficient. Okay, so this is the table of content. First, let's talk about what is Python and why is Python. Mostly, like, mainly we are going to talk about two topics under introduction to Python. The first one is what is Python. You need to know what Python programming language is, and then we are going to talk about why Python, because why Python is a very popular language, and why we need to choose Python as a programming language. Then we can go into the technical things like variables in Python, data types in Python, arithmetic operators, and finally we can cover conditional operators in Python. All right, let's go to the introduction. Pretty simple. As you can see, what is Python? Yes, Python is a high-level interpreted programming language known for its simplicity and readability. Okay, so this is a definition. So just because I say a definition, then I know that you can't understand most of the, like, if you don't know anything about Python, most of the things you can't understand. So what is the meaning of being high level? Okay, what is the meaning of being interpreted? Okay, let's talk about what is the meaning of being high level and interpreted. Okay, since I will be discussing these theoretical, technical concept in Sinhala as well, because of the audience. I can go with both, like, back and forth with English and Sinhala. Okay. අපි චුට්ටක් බලමු මොනවද මේ Python. දැන් අපිට මෙතන කියලා තියෙනවා Python is a high level interpreted programming language known for its simplicity and readability කියලා. එතකොට අපි ගොඩාක් වරද්ද ගන්න දෙයක් තමයි මේ වගේ දේවල් වලදී අපේ මොනවා හරි what is Python, okay, what is AI, what is කියලා මොනවා හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහුවාම අපිට මේ වගේ definition එකක් දුන්නාම අපි බලනවා මේ වගේ දේවල් කටපාඩම් කරගන්න, right? So that's not how you should do it. You don't need to, like, memorize these things. මේ වගේ දේවල් memorize කරන්න එපා. පුළුවන් තරම් කරන්න ඕනි දේ තමයි මේක කියලා තියෙන key concept identify කරගන්න එක. So once you identify these key concepts, you don't need to memorize anything. Because since you know the key concepts, you can create your own definition for anything you want, right? So in here also, Python is a high level interpreted programming language. Okay, so programming language, you already know Python is a programming language, so you don't need to worry about that programming language part. Or programming language කියන කැලේ ගැන worry වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. මොකද already ඔයාලා දන්නවා Python කියන්නේ programming language එකක් කියලා, right? But what is the meaning of being high level and interpreted? මේ high level සහ interpreted කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? Right. එතකොට Okay, so I will explain this one Sinhala first, then I will explain it in English as well. Okay. So high level language එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ students ඔයාලා සමහර විට මේ concept එක ලොකුවට ඔලුවට දාගන්න උවමනාවක් නැහැ, but try to get this concept like in the higher level, like higher level එකකින් පොඩ්ඩක් ඔලුවට දාගන්න. computer එකක් ගත්තොත් එහෙම computer එකට understand කරගන්න පුළුවන්. හරි. Also this is one thing I love to do when I am teaching or when I am presenting anything. I would like to ask questions, but I won't be pointing out any of you. I won't be embarrassing you. Like, I won't make anyone embarrassed. Just tell me when I ask a question. You can just tell me in the chat, or maybe you can unmute yourself and you can answer, right? So what is the language that a computer can understand? Or what, you don't need to say it's a language, maybe like okay. So what is the language, or maybe like what is I'm not going to say programming language. What is the language a computer can understand? Is there anyone who can answer that particular question? Computer එකට understand කරගන්න පුළුවන් language එක මොකක්ද? Okay, I will make it easy for you guys. Okay, I got an answer. Right. Yes, your answer is correct, student. It's binary. You can take it as binary. Okay. So I will make it pretty easy for you guys. So computer. A computer is a what? A computer is an electrical device. Like a computer is powered by electricity. So if a computer or if anything is powered by electricity, we have two level of voltage values. What? If voltage is there, we can say okay, voltage is there. If voltage is not there, we can say we don't have voltage. So if we map this concept into a math, if we map this concept using mathematics, we can say okay, if voltage is here, then we can say it's 1. If voltage is not here, we can say it's 0, right? So then we can say it's 1 0, maybe 1 0, right? Binary. Yes, a computer can understand binary language, only binary language, right? That means a computer can understand only ones and zero. ඒ කියන්නේ කම්පියුටර් එකකට අන්ඩර්ස්ටෑන්ඩ් කරගන්න පුළුවන් එක සහ බිඳුව විතරයි. පැහැදිලිද? කම්පියුටර් එකට එතනින් පිට කිසිමම දෙයක් අන්ඩර්ස්ටෑන්ඩ් කරගන්න බෑ. right? කවුරු ඇවිල්ලා ඇහුවත් බය නැතුව උත්තරයක් දෙන්න. කම්පියුටර් එකක් මොනවද අන්ඩර්ස්ටෑන්ඩ් කරගන්නේ? 1 and 0. That's the only thing a computer can understand. ඒකත් 1 and 0 කියලා කියන්නේ mathematical representation එක. In original representation එකේදී අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් කම්පියුටර් එකට අන්ඩර්ස්ටෑන්ඩ් කරගන්න පුළුවන් voltage level එක එන වෙලාව සහ නැති වෙලාව පමණයි. Okay, now we know what a computer can understand. It's 1 and 0. What is the machine language? The machine language is the language that we use to code or create programs using only ones and zero. So අපි 1 and 0 නැත්නම් 1 සහ බිංදුව භාවිතා කරලා ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එකක් නිර්මාණය කරනවා නම් අපි කියනවා ඒ ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එක නිර්මාණය කරපු language එක machine language එක කියලා. On the other hand, we can say it is the language a machine can or a computer can understand. So it's a very low level language. Low level කියන්න හේතුව තමයි ඒක ගොඩාක් අයට understand කරගන්න බෑ. Right? Then just because there is a language where you can use ones and zero to code, everyone can't understand, right? Not everyone. Most of us can't understand. Even people who know computer things can't understand what is there. ඒතර කවුරු හරි ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එකක් ලියලා තියෙනවා නම් එක බිංදුව භාවිතා කරලා ඒක සමහර විට ලියපු කෙනාට විතරයි දන්නේ මේ මොකක්ද ලියලා තියෙන්නේ. ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑමින් පුළුවන් කෙනෙක්ට උනත් ඒක හිතා ගන්න බැරි වෙනවා. ඒතකොට also ඒක ගොඩාක් computer එකට close. මනුස්සයට වඩා computer එකට close. මොකද computer එකට directly understand කරගන්න පුළුවන් මනුස්සයට understand කරගන්නවට වඩා. It is very close to a computer than a human. So we say those kind of languages, not those kind of languages. It's not a plural thing, it's a language. So we say machine language is a low level language which is extremely close to machine, right? You know, people don't, people doesn't stay without finding new things if there is something that they can't work with. මම කිව්වේ මිනිස්සු කවදාවත් එකතන ඉන්නේ නෑනේ. මිනිස්සු කියන්නේ දියුණු වෙන જાතියක්. එතකොට මිනිස්සුන්ට ඕනේ වුණා ඇත්තටම ඔය එක බිඳුවෙන් ලිව්ව නැත්තම් ones and zero use කරලා හදපු programming language එක, because it is very close to computers, not humans, right? Because it is very tough to learn and actually use. So people wanted to find another way to code which is closer to human and maybe pretty, away from computers, right? එතකොට computer එකකින් චුට්ටක් away වෙයි, but මිනිස්සුන්ට ගොඩාක් closer වෙන, මිනිස්සුන්ට තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන language එකක් හදන්න උවමනාව වුණා. එතකොට ඕකත් එක්ක ඊළඟට හැදුණු programming language එක තමයි අපි කියන්නේ programming ඇත්තටම not language, programming language type එක තමයි assembly based programming languages, right? So mainly ඇත්තටම assembly තමයි නිර්මාණය වුණු language එක. So it is pretty easier than machine language because we don't need to work with ones and zero directly. Instead, we can work with different symbols, right? Other different symbols තිබුණා කියලා අපි කියනවා assembly language එකේ, assembly programming language එකේදී instead of having ones and zero, right? So it is pretty closer to humans than computer. But we can see when we are creating something pretty close to human, then it is automatically getting away from computers. අර අපි computer කියන්නේ මනුස්සයාට ලං වෙන්න ඒ හදන programming language එක පොඩ්ඩක් computers වලින් ඈත් වෙනවා. Anyways, with the time people wanted more things. So with that, people created මිනිස්සු හැදුවා these high level languages, right? එතකොට මම කිව්වා machine language එක නැත්නම් ones and zero වලින් තියෙන language එක low level language එකක් which is extremely close to machines, not humans. So high level languages are languages or programming languages which are extremely close to humans and human can understand really quickly and human can understand what is there. Human can code easily using these high level programming languages, but very far away from computers. එතකොට computers වලින් ටිකක් ඈතට වෙන්න තමයි ඔය කියන එක තියෙන්නේ. يعني computer එකකට directly understand කරගන්න බෑ these kind of language. But human can, right? So that is why we say these are high level language. So this level, this high or level, this level is defined by the understandability of computer. If a computer can understand this directly, then we say it is a low level, which is machine language. A machine language can be understood by a computer really quickly because it is created by using ones and zeros. But this high level languages, these Python, Java, C, C++, any programming language that you are using right now today world, so most like almost all the programming languages are high level languages because all these programming languages are extremely close to human and very far away from computers, which means human can understand quickly but computers can't understand directly. And there is one interesting thing about these, high-level programming languages. The one interesting thing is almost all these programming languages are, created using, and not created actually. All these programming languages are created to use in which language? English language, which is a human language, right? Human, like people are using English or like these kind of languages to communicate. English is the international language, so we can say English. So එතකොට මේ high level language හදලා තියෙන්නේ ඔන්න ඔය කියන English කියන language එක භාවිතා කරලා, right? භාවිතා කරලා සහ English කියන language එක භාවිතා කරලා පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න. So ඔන්න ඕක තමයි Python is a high level language එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ, right? So then what is the meaning of interpreter? Okay. So if you can remember, I told you when a language is getting high, I mean like if the language is a high level language and if it is not a low level language, that means it is very far away from computers, and computers can't directly understand what is there on what is written by these high level languages. මේ high level languages වලින් ලියලා තියෙන දේවල් computers වලට understand කරගන්න බෑ. හේතුව තමයි යාට directly ඒ දේවල් understand කරගන්න බෑ because it is not written using ones and zero. අපි ඒක ones and zeros වලින් ලියලා නැති නිසා ඒක එහෙම understand කරගන්න බෑ කියන්නේ. Okay, I have another question. Right. Let's say you don't know let's say you only know Sinhala and English. And let's say you are going to Japan. Let's say you want to talk with a person in Japan, but the particular person knows only Japanese and yes, only Japanese. So what you are going to do? Let's say you know only English. Let's say you know only Sinhala. You don't know anything than that. And let's say there is a person in Japan and that particular person knows only Japanese. So how are you going to communicate with that particular person? වාට මෙහෙම වා සිංහල විතරයි දන්නේ ජපාන් මිනිස්සෙක් ඉන්නවා ජපනීස් විතරයි දන්නේ ඔයා කොහොමද එයාත් එක්ක කතා කරන්නේ? Okay, let's say without using sign language. Sign language නිකන් අර අතෙන් පයෙන් ඔහොම කියලා කතා කරන්නේ නැතුව you need to communicate, like you need to talk with him, right? How are you going to do? Can you do it directly? If you don't know the language, if any one of you doesn't know the language, so if you guys want to communicate, then what you have to do is either one of you have to know the language of the other person. එක්ක ඔයාට Japanese දැනගන්න වෙනවා එක්ක ඔයාට සිංහල දැනගන්න වෙනවා. If both don't know the language, දෙන්නම දන්නේ නැත්නම් ඔය වැඩේ කරන්න බෑ. ඒ වෙලාවට අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කාවද use කරන්නේ? අතරමැදියෙක් විදියට normally we say we use translators, right? We say we use translators, language translators. So if there is a person who can understand both Sinhala and Japanese, then what we can do is we can talk, like we can tell what we want, or we can ask things from that translator, and then translator can translate the Sinhala things that we like, Sinhala terms that we have asked to Japanese and ask from that Japan person from Japan, right? So then that person can answer in Japanese, and then the translator can convert the Japanese into Sinhala, and the particular translator can tells that to me. So yes, we need a translator. Yes, even in computers can understand ones and zero, which is machine languages. Human can understand high level languages which are written in human languages, 99% of the time English. So we need to have a mechanism. So if I said this is computer language or the machine language, this is the human language, or maybe let's say we can say Python or maybe C, something like that. Okay, so we need a mechanism to convert things that you are going to write in Python or any high level language into computer, as well as things that computer can understand into Python, right? Whatever it is, you need a way to convert these human written codes into ones and zeros. So simply මම කිව්වොත් මේ Python වල ලියන දේවල් අපිට ones and zeros වලට convert කරන්න අවශ්‍ය වෙනවා. So how are you going to do? Yes, in here also we have to use a language translators. Okay, there are 3 types of language translators: assembler, interpreter, and compiler. Okay, so assembler is a translator which is used by assembly programming language and machine language to convert assembly codings into machine language. So we don't need to discuss about that one because we are not going to discuss about this assembly language. We are only focusing on Python, which is a high level language, and machine language. Okay, there are 2 types of language translators that we can use to convert Python or the high level languages into machine languages. The first one is compilers and the second one is interpreter. Okay, now I'm going to tell you the main difference of compilers and interpreters. Okay, now let's say we are going to ask few questions from that Japanese person. Okay. So let's say I'm going to ask 10 questions from that Japanese person, and that Japanese person needs to answer for these 10 questions. Now we have a translator right here. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to ask these 10 questions. So this translator can do two, like this translator has two options. What are these two options? This translator can ask from that single me all these 10 questions at once. Okay, what is the first question? What is the second question? What is the third question? Likewise, all the 10 questions. Then what he can do is, what he can does is ask all these 10 questions at once from that Japanese person and get some idea. Not idea, get answers for all these 10 questions. And that particular translator can give all these answers to me. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ translatorට පුළුවන් මගෙන් මම සිංහල එක්කෙනානේ. ඒතර මගෙන් මම සිංහල කතා කරන එක්කෙනා ප්‍රශ්න 10ම අහලා ඒ ප්‍රශ්න 10ම අහලා ඉවර වෙනකන් ඉඳලා ඒ ප්‍රශ්න 10ම එකපාර ගිහින් ජපනීස් එක්කෙනාගෙන් අහලා ප්‍රශ්න 10ටම උත්තර ගන්න. පළවෙනි එක අහන උත්තරේ ගන්නවා, දෙවෙනි එක අහන උත්තරේ ගන්නවා, තුන්වෙනි එක අහන උත්තරේ ගන්නවා. ඒ වගේ ප්‍රශ්න 10ම උත්තර ටික අරගෙන එකපාරම මට ප්‍රශ්න 10 උත්තර ටික දෙන්න පුළුවන්. or else එහෙම නැත්තම් ට්‍රාන්ස්ලේටර් කරන්න පුළුවන් මම පළවෙනි ප්‍රශ්නේ අහුවාම මට චුට්ටක් ඉන්න කියලා දෙවෙනි ප්‍රශ්නේ අහන්න නැතුව කෙලින්ම පළවෙනි ප්‍රශ්නේ ජපනීස් එක්කෙනාගෙන් අහලා එයාගෙන් පළවෙනි ප්‍රශ්නෙට උත්තරය අරගෙන ඒ උත්තරේ මට දෙන්න. right? There are two options that I can do. එක්කෝ මට ප්‍රශ්න 10ම අහන්න, එක්කෝ ඒ ට්‍රාන්ස්ලේටර් පුළුවන් මගේ ප්‍රශ්න 10ම අහන්න. අහලා ඉවර වෙලා ඒ ප්‍රශ්න 10ම අරයට ඉදිරිපත් කළා ජපනීස් කෙනාගෙන් ජපනීස් වලින් හරි ට්‍රාන්ස්ලේටඩ් ආන්සර්ස් 10 අරගෙන ඒ 10ම එකපාර මට දෙන්න. එහෙම නැත්තම් මගෙන් පළවෙනි ප්‍රශ්නේ අහලා ඒක ජපන් එක්කෙනාගෙන් අහලා එයාගෙන් ඒ උත්තරය අරගෙන ඒක මට දෙන්න පුළුවන්. So there are two options. So මෙන්න මේ options දෙකම තමයි මෙන්න මේ options දෙකේදී මේ process එක වෙන විදිය ගැන හිතා ගන්න. So in these two options, just try to think about the operations and just try to think about the process, right? So in the first option, what happens is we are going to take all these questions. The translator is going to take all the questions at once, and then the translator is going to ask all the questions from the Japanese person and try to get the answers for all the questions. And then only the translator is going to give all the answers to my questions. In second option, what translator is going to do is translator is asking the first question from me and asking the particular question from the Japanese person and get the answer for the first question only, and then gives that to me, right? So these are the two options. Okay, in computer programming also we have these two options. So compilers are the first type of option, first type of translators, which translate everything together, like everything at once, and give all the things. And interpreters are the ones who is translating one line by line, like one line at a time, when we are translating our code into machine language. So now you know why Python is a high, like what is the meaning of being high level and interpreted, right? So it took a bit of time, but don't worry, we can skip some parts in the upcoming slides because I have already described most of the things that are related to being high level and interpreted. Okay, so now you know what is the meaning of high level and what is the meaning of being interpreted, right? So simply we can say Python is a high level language. That means which is close to humans, means what we can understand by this is Python is written by English, and in Python when you are writing a code we can use English. And also it says interpreted. That means Python is going to translate every code line by line. Means once there is a line that we are going to write, and once we execute that particular line, the particular line will be executed and the answer will be there for Python. But if it is a compiler, then it will execute all the lines together and give the answer. So there are pros and cons when it comes to interpreter and compilers, but I'm not going to discuss those things now, because the only thing that we need is the idea of being interpreted. Okay, now I hope you understand what is the what's the meaning of high level and what is the meaning of interpreted. Okay, all right. Now let's go to the rest of the part. These are like very small things. I don't think that you even need to remember these things, but it's fine. So okay, Python programming language is created by Guido van Rossum, right? So this is not pronounced as Guido, right? So you might think it is Guido just because we have G here. No, this is a Latin name actually. He's from Netherlands, as far as I remember. So this is a Latin name. So a Dutch name, not Latin name, Dutch name. So it's not Guido. This is just a fun fact. It's Guido van Rossum, right? So it's not Guido. So just pronounce it as Guido van Rossum. And it's first released in 1991. Okay, so Python is released in 1991. So not a big time, right? Because C programming language is released in around 1960, as far as I remember. So 1991 is not a big time if we compare the time with C programming language. Okay, so Python has become one of the most popular programming languages in the world. Yes, I mentioned this one earlier as well. Python is one of the most popular programming language in today world. Like if you ever get a chance to see the ranks of programming languages, you can check it out. 99% of the time, all of these all of these ranking systems are showing Python as the first, like Python is in, like Python as the first, like the for Python, what I'm trying to say is like the most popular programming language. All right. Okay, then widely used in various domains such as web development, data science, artificial intelligence, and scientific computing, and more. Yes, this Python programming language is widely used in most of these domains. So there is a very different. So when it comes to web development, the main programming language that comes to our mind is JavaScript. No doubt, JavaScript is one of the dominant programming language when it comes to web development, right? That's true. But when it comes to data science and artificial intelligence, no challenge, no doubt. Python is the dominant programming language. We don't even remember JavaScript when it comes to data science and artificial intelligence. And when it comes to scientific communication, yes, of course, Python is one of the popular programming language, right? So that is why we are saying Python is one of the most popular programming language because of its, flexibility, right? Python වලට ගොඩාක් flexibility එකක් තියෙනවා. දැන් JavaScript ගත්තොත් එහෙම JavaScript කියන programming language එක අපිට මතක් වෙන්නේ අපිට website එකක් හදන්න යනවා නම් විතරයි. So අපි නිකන් machine learning model එකක් එහෙම නැත්නම් AI model එකක් develop කරන්න යනකොට what is JavaScript? We don't know JavaScript, right? අපි නිකන් අර JavaScript දන්නේ නැහැ වගේ කියන mindset එකකට එනවා, right? But when we are doing any sort of certain things using, any domain, Python පොඩ්ඩක් හරි ගොයෙන් හරි ගෑවිලා තියෙනවා. For an example, if you are developing a website, not for front end, but for back end, to develop back ends, we can use Python, right? We have Fast API, we have Flask, we have like one of the most popular Python backend called Django, right? So that those are used in web development. And when it comes to data science, no doubt. When it comes to it's no doubt that Python is the widely used programming language. Like 99% of the time, they are using Python. And when it comes to scientific computing, also Python is the most popular language. Okay, now I hope you know what is Python. Let's talk about why Python. So these are like very small things that we need to discuss. Just give me 1 second. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Let's talk about why Python. Right. So why? Yes, it's readability and simplicity. Yes, that is very like what one of the most popular thing in the world. If someone is asked from you, what is the easiest language for you to learn? Everyone will say Python is the easiest language. Yes, the reason is Python. In Python, most of these, commands and everything are very simple for you to learn, right? In Python, the things, the syntax and everything is very simple for you to learn. The readability is there, not as like there are different programming languages like sometimes there are I don't remember exact names of these programming languages, but there are programming languages just like Go programming, not Go, this Visual Basic and Pascal. There are different programming languages like that where Java, C, C double plus, and 90% of the programming languages out here need a way to say that this particular variable is an integer or not, right? So these most of these programming languages, if you are working with most of these programming languages, there should be a way to say what the data type of this variable. Okay, so I'm going to show you with an example. Right, so I hope you can see my screen. Okay, so this is Python IDE. This is the, like, let's say the Python shell. So where you can write like, anything. So a variable is something like this, student. So I'm going to say, okay, name equal Dilumika, right? So A equal 10. So name, when I ask it to print the name, it's name. When I ask it to print A, it's going to print 10. So this is a string. This is an integer, right? But I use name to, like this name to store my name. And I use A to store my like value 10, right? Let's say I am going to use this particular same A variable to store the second part of the last name of my name, Navodya. So now it says Navodya. Okay, you will be asking, oh, what is happening here? වාටම ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙන්න පුළුවන් දැන් name කියන එකට store කරා A කියන එකට 10 කියන එක store කරා but again A කියන එකට නවෝද්‍ය store කරා එතකොට දැන් A කියන එකට 10 store කරලා තිබ්බ වෙලාවේදී 10යි කියලා පෙන්නනවා which is an integer, right? integer එක A කියන එකට නවෝද්‍ය කියන එක store කරාම නවෝද්‍ය කියලා පෙන්නනවා, right? So this is very interesting. In Python, we don't need to say what is the data type that we are going to store, right? Because Python can automatically identify what is the data, which type of data that I stored here. But in programming language like Java, you need to say it. You need to say it is a string. This is not the correct way of doing it in Python. So this will throw an error. Make a එකක් throw කරා මොකද Python වලදී අපි මෙහෙම කරන්නේ නැති නිසා. But if you are doing it in Java, you have to tell it. It is a string name. You have to tell the name is going to be a string, right? So if you are going to store integer in Java, you have to tell it's going to be an integer. Just make an integer variable. See, in Python, you are not saying that. You are not going to say that thing. You are not going to interpret that thing in Python. So we say Python is The variables are dynamically assigned. No, it is not a statically assigned programming language. Dynamically assigned means whatever the name we are going to use, we don't need to mention the variable like the data type first. The Python will automatically identify the data that we stored here, and based on the data, it will automatically assign the data type for this, just like in here. So in here, I assign value 10 to A. So Python automatically understood that, okay, this is an integer. So I should allocate a memory in my computer memory, which can store number 10. So the variable name is A, and this is going to be an integer memory location. Then in here, I change it to A equal Navodya. So in that time, Python automatically understood, okay, now this person is writing Navodya, which is a string, and now this person is trying to store this Navodya, which is a string, in the variable A. So I should change this particular variable location into a string by increasing the memory location. And now I'm going to create this, make this as a string. So Python automatically identify this thing, and we say because of this thing, Python is a dynamically typed programming language. So you don't need to worry about the data type. So now this shows how easy Python is. And that is why I said Python is a very easy language to learn for beginners, right? So this is how you do it. All right, let's go back to the slides. And it says an identifier is utilized to recognize the literals utilized in the program. The standards to name an identifier are given underneath. Yes. දැන් අපි දන්නවනේ මිනිස්සෙක්ගේ නමක් වුණත් අංකකින් පටන් ගන්න නේද? දැන් මගේ නම 10යි දිලුමික කියලා පටන් ගන්න නැහැ නේ. දැන් ඔයාලගේ නම නිකන් underscore සමන් එහෙම නැහැ නේද? ඊට පස්සේ නිකන් at නිකන් හිතන්නකෝ නිකන් අර ඩොලර් සිම්බල් එක වගේ ඉස්සරහට දාලා කමලා වගේ නැත්නම් නිමලා වගේ නමක් එහෙම එන්නේ නැහැ නේ. right. ඒකට හේතුව අපි නමක් දෙනකොට කාට හරි දෙන විදියක් තියෙනවා. හරිද? එතකොට ඒක අයිඩෙන්ටිෆයි කරගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනි අනිත් අයට. Some set of rules we follow. අපිට ඇත්තටම මගේ නමට ඉස්සරහන් අපේ අම්මට තිබ්බා 10 දිලුමික කියලා දාන්න. හැබැයි එහෙම දාන්න නැත්තේ ඒක එච්චර හොඳ නැහැ. Right? So even in programming languages, when in Python also, when you are creating variables in Python, we follow a set of rules. So I showed those set of rules here. You can play with those rules and you can identify those things. Okay, the first rule is, and one more thing to remember, when you are naming a human, it is not a rule, right? අපි මිනිස්සෙක්ට නමක් දෙනකොට ඒක රූල් එකක් නෙමෙයි. 10 දිලුමික කියලා මට නම දෙන්න තිබුණා. 10 දිලුමික කියලා මට නම දුන්නාට ඒක කිසි ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. But in programming language, these are rules. Rules means you have to follow, right? If you don't follow these rules, you can't create a variable, right? It will throw an error, right? So the first rule is the variable's first character must be an underscore alphabet. Yes, ඔයාගේ මේ හදන create කරන variable එකේ පළවෙනිම අකුර අනිවාර්යෙන්ම අකුරක් හෝ එක්ක underscore එක එක්ක අකුරක් වෙන්න ඕනේ. Means you can't have any other types. ඔයාට අංකයක් වෙන්න බෑ පළවෙනි එක, symbol එකක් වෙන්න බෑ. symbol එකක් නම් වෙන්න පුළුවන් underscore පමණයි, right? කිසිම දෙයක් white space වෙන්න බෑ. කිසිම දෙයක් වෙන්න බෑ. Only underscore as a symbol and any alphabetical letter, like capital or simple, it doesn't matter. Any letter, like we have like 26 English simple letters and 26 capital letters. So altogether 52 simple capital letters and underscore. So there are only 53 options for you to start a variable, right? The next rule is every one of the characters, with the exception of the main person, might be a letter set of lowercase, capitalized, highlight of digit. Okay, so the meaning of this second rule is exception of the main person means exception of the first letter, right? පළවෙනි letter එක හැරුණාම දැන් පළවෙනි letter එකට අපි already rule එකක් දීලානේ තියෙන්නේ. පළවෙනි letter එක හැරුණාම for every other letters in or for every other characters, not letters, in your Python variable can come up with any lowercase or capitalized, lowercase or uppercase letter, means alphabetical letter, or any underscore or any digit, right? So එතකොට ඔයාට හොඳට මේ පළවෙනි rules දෙකෙන් identify කරගන්න තියෙන්නේ. පළවෙනි rule එකෙන් කියනවා first character එක must be underscore alphabet, දෙවැනි රූල් එකෙන් කියනවා second character එකේ ඉඳලා ඉතුරු ඔක්කොම characters ටික එක්ක alphabetical එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන් එක්ක underscore වෙන්න පුළුවන් එක්ක number එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒතර පොඩි rule එකක් add කරලා දීලා තියෙනවා. පළවෙනි එකට බැරි වුණාට numbers එතනින් ඉස්සරහට මැද තියෙන ඒවට numbers දාන්න පුළුවන්. නිකන් උදාහරණයක් විදිහට මගේ නමේ දිලුමික 10. එහෙම දාන්න පුළුවන්. Right. The third rule is white space and special characters like these are not allowed in identifier name, right? Any white spaces and these special characters, any other symbol are not allowed in Python variables. And the fourth rule is identifier name should not be like any watchword characterized in the language. Okay, so what are the watchword characterized in the language? Okay, you know, if you ever done programming, you know if is a keyword in any programming language. While, a loop, break, continue. Okay, so there are names which you can't, there are names which you can't use as identifier names, right? ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් ඔයා හිතන්නකෝ මිනිස්සෙක් ඉන්නවා, ඒ මිනිස්සයාට අපි නමක් දානවා බර්ගර් කිං කියලා. අපිට පුළුවන් මේ මිනිස්සයාට බර්ගර් කිං කියලා නමක් දාන්න පුළුවන්. වැරදි නෑනේ නේ. බර්ගර් කිං කියලා නම දැම්මම වැරදි නෑනේ. අපි මිනිස්සෙක් නමක් තියෙනවා, අපි යාට දානවා පීසා හට් කියලා නම. හරිද? එතකොට මිනිස්සෙක් ඉන්න අපි මේ මිනිස්සයාට නමක් දානවා University of Moratuwa කියලා. Can we do it? හරිද? අපි මිනිස්සෙක් ඉන්න මිනිස්සයාට අපි ආනන්ද කොලෙජ් කියලා නමක් දානවා. අපිට එහෙම කරන්න පුළුවන්ද? පුළුවන්. වැරදි නෑ. හැබැයි එතන පොඩි ඉෂුව එකක් වෙනවා. ඒ names already assigned. හරිද? ඒ names already භාවිතා කරලා තියෙනවා different දේවල් වලට. අපිට කමල් කියලා මිනිස්සෙක් ඉඳලා තව කමල් කියලා නමක් භාවිතා කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ. හැබැයි නිකන් University of Moratuwa, Burger King, KFC ඕවගේ නම් දාන්න පුළුවන් මිනිස්සෙක් නැහැ. එහෙම දාන්න බෑ. මොකද ඒ නම එයාලටම විතරක් අපි define කරලා තියෙන නම. So even in programming languages we have these kind of watchwords. We say keywords. ඒ කියන්නේ programming language එක විසින්ම define කරලා තියෙන වචන තියෙන්නේ. There are words, there are different words we call keywords, watchwords that are defined by, that are only defined by programming language, and that is all those keywords are defined by the programming language, so we can't use these as identifier names. Okay, the last rule is names of identifiers are case sensitive. Yes, for instance, my name and my name isn't something very similar. In here you can say, so there shouldn't be a space here. මෙතන space එකක් තියෙන්න බෑ, ඒක my mistake, I'm sorry. මෙතන space එකක් තියෙන්න බෑ. So මෙතන M simple, N simple, but in here also the same name which is my name, but M capital and N is capital also, right? So these two variables are two different variables. The reason is names of identifiers are case sensitive. Case sensitive means if one letter is, like if there is a one like difference even for one letter, that is a whole different variable name. Okay, let's try these things really quickly. Okay, let's try to start a variable name, let's say a 3 name, and we are going to add a value there. Let's say, no, you can't do it. The reason is the syntax error, you invalid syntax, which means you can't start a variable name by a number, but you can maybe like have a number in between, you know, something like that. It's fine. It's fine. Right? See, it's also okay. It's not an error. So if is a keyword in Python, so let's try to, you know, assign a value to if. So it's a, it's invalid syntax. The reason is if is a, if this if is a you know, watchword in Python, so that's why it was highlighted in green color. So you can't use this as a variable. Now let's see. If I change this simple I to capital I and write it as if, will it work? Someone tell me, will it work? Okay, tell me in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and tell, will this work? Is this a, you know, valid way of creating a variable? Go through all these rules and try to understand. Go through all these rules and try to understand. Say, tell me whether this is a valid variable or not. මට answers ආවේ නැහැ කට්ටිය. See, I started the variable name by a letter and I follow all the other rules. What are the other rules? The first one is also satisfy, the second one also satisfy, the third one also satisfy, and identify name should not be like any watchword. No, this is not a watchword. Simple I and if is the watchword. This if is the one that is uh, uh, defined by Python programming, not this. So fourth rule is also okay. And the case sensitivity, yes, because of that case sensitivity, you can see this is a correct variable. Okay. So this is how we create variables in Python. Pretty simple. If you have any questions related to variables in Python, you can ask. If not, we can move to the data types in Python. Okay. So this image in Python data types. Okay, now let's talk about what are Python data types. Like before talking about what are Python data types, let's talk about what is a data type in Python. A variable can contain variety of values. On the other hand, a person's ID must be stored as an integer while their name must be stored as a string. Yes, if you can see, a person's ID must be stored as an integer while their name must be stored as a string. So you already know this concept when we were discussing these variables. Every variable has a data type, means everything has a data type. Like even in real world, we can say everything has a data type, right? Your name is a string, your age is a integer, your height is a floating value, right? Floating point value. Floating point means අපි සිංහලෙන් කියනවා දශමය සංඛ්‍යා. ඔයාගේ weight එක mostly we say using integer. අපි කියන්නේ 57.5 කියලා. Mostly we say 57, right? එතකොට ඔයාගේ බර එතකොට ඔයාගේ උස ඒක floating point value එකක්. එතකොට ඔයාගේ නම ඒක string එකක්. එතකොට හිතන්න ඔයාට අම්මා කියනවා මෙන්න මේ බඩු ටික අරගෙන එන්න කියලා supermarket. What is that? It's a list of items, right? So something like that. Then someone is asking you a question, yes or no? No question. So what is that? It's a Boolean data type, right? Yes or no, right? Okay. So there are many different data types in Python. So all these Python data types can be categorized according to this. There are 5 main different data types: numeric, dictionary, Boolean, set, and sequence types. Under numeric, we have 3 different types of data types: integer, complex number, float. And under sequence type, we have string, list, and tuple. So right, okay. So these are the data types in Python mainly. So I won't be going through all these data types deeply because and thoroughly, because these are things for you to understand, not for me to like tell everything one by one, because you can understand these things. What I am trying to say is These are the main data types. So numeric data types are the data types that we use to store numerical values. So I will be showing one example for each of these data types. Let's start from the integer and then let's go to floating point values, and no need to discuss about the complex number, because the complex number data type is a pretty complex, actually by the name given, it is a pretty complex data type. So let's talk about integer float, and then let's talk about dictionaries, Boolean, sets, and three types of sequence types one by one. Okay, right. So you already know what is the meaning of integer and what are the integer data types. Okay, so I'll be creating different variables. So I'll be, from here we can say, okay, the first thing is I'm going to like use the variable name a. So this is an integer. Okay, right. And next variable is b. So we can say like it's 54.67. So this is a floating point. So we have these two types of numerical variables, numerical data types in Python. Now let's talk about Boolean first, and then we can go to the other types of variables. So the Boolean, we can say it's either true or false, right? So false or true. Always keep in mind this T in true and F in false should be capital if you are writing it as a, Boolean value. So if you are not writing it as a Boolean values, so you can say it's C. If is simple, it is false. It is just another variable. If it is not a value. So if is capital, you can say it is highlighted in green color, which means it is also a watchword in Python, and it is the Boolean value. So you can use these as a Boolean values. Okay, student. Now these things are the singular value data types in Python. Means these variable can hold only one value, right? The other every other type of variables, including dictionary, set, and all these sequence types, can have multiple values, right? ඒවට ගොඩක් values තියාගෙන ඉන්න පුළුවන්. Right? එතකොට අපි ඒ වගේ ටිකක් බලමු. So the dictionary is a pretty something you know mostly. So in dictionaries what we do is we create a variable, like we create a data type. The dictionary type is like this. The variable name, we can use any variable name. So in here I'm using D. So if you want to create a dictionary, what you need to do is you have to you create these curly braces, and within curly braces you have to use key and value pairs. So it's like within braces you can say, okay, so what we can say is, okay, the name is Dilumika, and age is, it's like a set of values with keys and values. Okay, age is 25, right? Something like that. So this is a dictionary. You can have any number of values. So this is a multi-value data type. Okay. Then let's talk about the other few types of data types: strings, list, and tuples. So basically, you already know what a string is. String is this, so we can say kamal or something like that. So this is a string in Python. So in Python, a list is created using these square brackets. So within square brackets, you can type anything you want. It doesn't matter whatever the value you want to create. It doesn't matter. You can have anything you want, string, integers, or if you want to create Boolean values, anything you can keep it there. And this is a Python list. Okay, the main difference. So a Python tuple is also entirely similar to a Python list. See, I am going to create that same Python list using Python tuple. So we say it's a tuple, or some people are saying it's a tuple. Anything, it doesn't matter, but it's a tuple, right? Or tuple. This is it. Okay, so we can create that same thing using Python tuple. So the main difference of Python list and tuple is these are mutable. So I'm sorry, these are immutable. These are mutable. Means once you create Python list, you can remove, you can update, you can do different other operation to a Python list, because these are immutable, like mutable data types. I'm sorry, immutable data types. But Python tuples are Mutable means once you create it, you can't do any sort of updations there. You can, but directly you can't do any operations. Means if let's say you want to change this 3.56 value to 10.9 in a list, you can do, but in a tuple, you can't do it, right? Okay, so that is why we say this is a immutable. So this is immutable and this is mutable, but we use both a list and tuples to create both, right? So these are the main data types in Python. So there are so many things that are related to these data types. You have to go through each and every these data types, and you like if you want to master these data types, you need to go through each of the each and every data types, and you have to find different things because there are different things you need to learn and discuss. So within this 1.5 hour session, we can't go through everything. I'm just giving you a basic introduction of what are the data types are. So there are different functions that are related to these data types. You can always refer to any good resource in the internet and find any data type. Okay, let's go to last two topics. The arithmetic operators in Python. Okay, so by the name given, you know what arithmetic operators are. Arithmetic operators are operators that we use to do any sort of arithmetic operation, let's say mathematical operations. So in Python, there are seven major or main arithmetic operators. So we use these seven arithmetic operators to do seven different types of mathematical operations for numerical values and non-numerical values as well. So you might wonder, what? So are we using arithmetic operators on non-numerical values as well? Yes, there are situations where we can use these arithmetic operations on non-numerical values as well, right? So usually we don't, but if you can carefully think, you might see there are situations where we use these arithmetic operation in general, like in general use case as well. There are situations where we use these arithmetic operators on non-numerical values. Let's say if you want to add two names together. So what is that? It's addition, simply addition. You have Dilumika, you have Navodya. If you want to create one single name, what you are going to do is you are going to add this Navodya part at the end of Dilumika part. So it's Dilumika Navodya. So it's addition. Very simple. Can we have a subtraction for non-numerical values? No. Can you subtract my name Navodya from my entire name? No. We say it's removing, not subtract. Okay. Can we multiply non-numerical values? Yes. If someone asks, multiply my name 5 times, it's Dilumika, 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 right? So it's multiplication, right? Yes, you can have multiplication for non-numerical values. Can we have division for non-numerical values? No, you can. No, you can't do that. For all the other operators, or remainder, exponent, and floor division, yes, exponent we actually like for like remainder, exponent, and floor division. Yes, we can't have any non-numerical values. So altogether, in general, we can say for addition and multiplication, we can have both numerical and non-numerical. For all other, like for all seven operations, obviously we can use all these numerical values. Okay, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Pretty simple. I don't even need to say it because you already know addition means adding two numbers. Subtraction means subtracting two numbers, means like reducing a number from another number. අපි අඩු කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ සිංහලේ. Multiplication is the multiplying two numbers together. Division is the dividing two numbers together, right? Okay, so addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Okay, so that is one interesting thing related to division. So if you are dividing in Python, if you are dividing a number, the output is always going to be what? A floating point number. Okay, means if you are dividing 10 by 5, yes, the output is 2, but in Python, it the output is going to be what? 2.0. See, so in Python, if you are performing any division, output is, I'm sorry, 5.4. Output is going to be a floating point value. Even though the value is 5, which is an integer, the output is always going to be a floating point number, right? If it is an like integer, like a full value, it doesn't matter, it is going to be a floating point value. At least it will add dot point, like dot 0 at the end of the value. Okay, so this is how it works in Python, right? So these are the main operators in Python. So we have addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Okay, so remainder, exponent, and floor division. I will quickly explain what remainder, exponent, and floor divisions are. Remainder means if you want to get the rest value once you divide a number by another number, and if you want to get the rest value like the remainder, then what you can do is you can use this remainder operator, which means, let's say you want to divide 10 by 3 and you want to get the rest, means the rest number. So once you divide 10 by 3, the full number is 3 and the rest number is 1. Remainder use කරන්න. So you already know what exponent means. බලය, power එක කියන එක ගන්න. 2 to the power 3, it's 8. So if you want to get that one, you can use exponent. So floor division means, so in division, you can get what? You can get floating point values, right? So floor division means, in floor division, what floor division does is, it will divide the number by another number and gives you an integer output, always an integer output, right? So if you want to divide 10 by 3, it's going to be 3.3 something if you are performing it using division, right? But if you are performing it using floor division, it's always going to be 3. It will always give you the integer value part. If there are floating point value, it doesn't matter. It will always give you the floating point. Okay. Now for the last topic, which is conditional operators in Python. Okay. So there are 3 types of conditional operators when it comes to if operations. So we have if else, and nested if. So as it mentioned in here, so if operations are, the if statement is used to test a specific condition. If the condition is true, a block of code will be executed. Yes, there are 3 types of conditional operators in Python: if else, and nested if. Okay, so I will show this with an example, and then we can wrap up stop the session. Okay, now, now, file. Okay, so if you want to create a Python if statement, and there are 3 types of way. So the first way is, what you can do is you can create if, and then you can have your condition. Let's say the 10 is smaller than 20. So if this is true, then you can print a value. Or you can do anything you want, right? So this is the simple if statement. So as it mentioned in here, this is the simple if operator. So we don't have an else part here. That means this will execute it only if the condition is correct. Let's say I'm going to put a variable here, a equal 10. So I'm going to put instead of 10, I'm going to put a. So if this is the case, and if this is correct, and if this value is satisfying this condition, and only if it is satisfying this condition, this will be executed, right? So if I have values like 45, this condition won't be satisfy this variable. So there won't be any output that we can see. So this is the simplest way of creating if statement. So the next way of creating if statement is if else part. That means you have both yes and no side, right? So if this is something like this, of course, this will satisfy the condition and we can see print yes. But if it is not the case, if it is greater than 20, then you can't execute yes, but this else part will catch the other part and it will execute the no. So this is if else case in Python. And finally we have nested if case, which means we can have multiple if case inside inside uh, one if statement. So if you want to check whether this value is less than 10, you can check that one as well, right? So this is simply what we are doing. So we can say print less than 10, right? So you can have multiple if conditions within, you can have multiple if conditions within one if condition. So greater than 10 but less than 20. See, right? So then you can put a else statement here, and you can maybe check other things, right? So if it is, greater than 100, or maybe something like that, then you can print it. Otherwise, you can print other thing. So this is the if else case. So you can write anything. So we can have if and another nested if case within if, right? So this is the third type of if statement. There is one another variation in this if else. So I didn't mention it here, but there is another variations as well. That is if else case. Means if you want to check only two conditions, like if you only want to check a one condition here, then it is pretty obvious. What we can do is, okay, we can have if part and else part, right? So we can have if part and else part here. It's pretty obvious. We can have it like this. But let's say if we want to check another condition, if you want to put another condition, then what you can do is you can have a nested if case, like you can have that if condition within this one. But what if we want to check the if condition with the priority of this value? So what we can do is, instead of putting else here, if this is the yes one case, what we can do is we can say, okay, else if, right? So we shorten it to elif, and then we can put the condition maybe like a is, let's say a is greater than a is less than 50. Then we can say is print yes type 2. So this is a variation of second case. Make our second case again variation. We say if else case. So you can have any number of elif, right? Any number of elif. It doesn't matter with any type of conditions, right? So now you know all type of conditional statements of like mainly the issue. So there are like main three. Have a variation called if elif else as. All right. So this covers almost, all the things for the day. There are few typos. For an example, in here, under the conditional operators, I have put the same thing in here. I need to change that one. Also for here, for the remainder, I have put the same thing for the div, like the same, explanation that I put for the, oh no, this one is different. I'm sorry, this one is different. The only thing that I need to change is here. So yes, I will be sharing these slides once I am, once I am like, correct these, once I correct these, typos. And yes, that's cover, that covers almost all the things. So we have been going through, these introduction, variables, data types, arithmetic operators, and conditional operators. Yes, I know for these latter three, like data types, arithmetic operators, and conditional operators, we haven't covered much of things. But yes, within these 1.5 hours, we can't cover everything. So, but I hope you got an idea about all those, basic concepts that are related to Python. Now you can start your Python journey by here. And since you know what are the data types, now you can quickly go through these learn from the internet, as I have suggested in here. We have a large ecosystem for Python and it is very easy to learn. So start your journey. This is a very cool programming language. I have been doing Python programming for 8 to 9 years, closely 8 to 9 years, and I'm loving it. Yes. So, yeah. So with this, it covers my session for the day. And thank you for listening and participating. Over to
A
you,
big thank
Nasrina.
you to Mr. Dilumika Navodya for sharing his valuable insights and expertise with us. Your session has provided us with a solid foundation in MindForge, and we are grateful for your contribution to our program. Okay, now it's time to shoot in any questions you have.
Yes. If you have any questions, you can ask. I'm happy to answer those questions. Yeah, if you don't have any questions, maybe you can have any comments. You can put any comments.
No questions from me, but I'm glad and I thank Mr. Dilumika for teaching us a lot about programming. I'm actually happy to learn about Python and high-level programming language and low-level programming language. So yeah, once again, thank you, Mr. Dilumika.
No worries. I'm glad that you learned something from my session.
Any more comments or questions?
Someone is asking, sir, can us have this note, please? Yes, I will be sharing this note with the organizing committee, and you can have it.
Since we are not getting any more questions, let's wrap up today. I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to all the students who participated. Your enthusiasm and engagement have made this event a success. And we hope you have gained valuable insights and are inspired to explore this exciting field further. So we look forward to seeing you at future events. Until then, stay curious, keep learning, and continue to explore the endless possibilities of technology. Thank you and have a wonderful week.